This is Land of Havilah, Psalm 139. It's 24 beautiful and straightforward verses of David contemplating God. Verse 1. For the chief musician, a psalm by David. Yahweh, you have searched me, and you know me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. For there's not a word on my tongue, but, behold, Yahweh, you know it altogether. You hem me in behind and before. You laid your hand on me. This knowledge is beyond me. It's lofty. I can't attain to it. Where could I go from your spirit, or where could I flee from your presence? If I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the dawn and settle in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will hold me. If I say, surely the darkness will overwhelm me, the light around me will be night. Even the darkness doesn't hide from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness is like light to you. For you formed my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I'll give thanks to you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. My soul knows that very well. My frame wasn't hidden from you when I was made in secret, woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my body. In your book they were all written, the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there were none of them. How precious to me are your thoughts, God! How vast is their sum! If I would count them, they're more in number than the sand. When I wake up, I'm still with you. If only you, God, would kill the wicked. Get away from me, you bloodthirsty men, for they speak against you wickedly. Your enemies take your name in vain. Yahweh, don't I hate those who hate you? Am I not grieved with those who rise up against you? I hate them with a perfect hatred. They've become my enemies. Search me, God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. Comment, most of it's understandable. There are only a few difficult lines. In verse 5, you hem me in behind and before. It's also translated, thou hast beset me behind and before. You close me in behind and before. You squeeze me in from behind and front. You have hedged me behind and before, and behind and before thou hast besieged me, is something to the effect, you protect me on all sides. In verse 11, quote, if I say, surely the darkness will overwhelm me, the light around me will be dark, end quote. To be clear, that was David imagining that he wouldn't be able to find his way, that he'd be lost in a morass of confusion. But in the next verse, God would show him the way. He would light up the darkness for him. In verse 15, David says he was made in secret, woven together in the depths of the earth. If he thinks God literally made him in the depths of the earth, that would be a unique concept in the Bible, expressed here only. Is probably more a poetic way of saying he has no idea whatsoever how God made him. It's as mysterious to him as what's 100 miles under the earth. In verse 16, God knows how long we'll live. All our days are ordained for us and written in a book, whether it's an actual book or just something settled in the mind of God. Our days are numbered. He knows the date of our death. He knew it before we were born. In verse 19, David says, quote, if only you, God, would kill the wicked, end quote. He wonders why God doesn't kill the wicked. He thinks God ought to kill the wicked. But on the other end of the human spectrum, there's some who fault God that he does kill the wicked, such as when he commanded Israel to kill the Canaanites, or when he struck Ananias and Sapphira. So if it were up to human judgment, there'd be no way God could win. Some fault him for killing and some for not killing. So the wise will just let God be God. What are we going to do? Not let him be God? How are we going to stop him from being what he is? How foolish it would be to tell him whom he should kill and whom he should let live. But he doesn't mind honest questions about it. Then David goes on a couple of verses how he hates the wicked. Then he says he wants God to find the wickedness in him and root it out of him. So we see how circular that is, that if God would kill the wicked, he'd have to kill David too. David didn't put that together, though, that to kill the wicked, God would have to kill him. But that's the obvious math of it, so to speak. Which leads us to the overarching wisdom of Jesus that we should have mercy on our enemies and love them, and not curse them, because apart from God's grace, there's no essential difference between us and them. Now here's what the psalm means to your narrator in its entirety from verse 1 to the end. Yahweh, you're acutely aware of everything about me, all my thoughts and actions. You see every move. Before I open my mouth, you know every word that's about to come out of it. You protect me front and back. It's all beyond my comprehension. Where could I go that you wouldn't be with me, or where could I run if for some reason I wanted to get away from you? If I ascend to highest heaven or descend into lowest Sheol, you're there. If I go as far as the rising sun or to the remotest part of the sea, even there you'll guide me, and your right hand will hold me. In the blackest of darkness you give me light. To you there is no blackness, and whatever's in the dark is as day. You formed my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. The wonder of it compels me to fear you. Your works are wonderful, I'm well aware. In whatever way you brought me forth from nothing, that way known only to you, how you conceived of me beforehand and brought me forth inside my mother's womb. You saw my body beforehand, and in your book you had already written all the days that were ordained for me. Your thoughts are so beyond me. How vast is the sum of them. You keep so many things in your mind at the same time. You keep track of more things simultaneously than the sand on the seashore. I don't keep track of anything when I'm asleep, yet when I awake, there you are. You never lost sight of me or of anything else. If I could have you explain one thing to me, it would be why it is you don't kill the wicked. Get away from me, you bloodthirsty men. They speak against you wickedly. They abuse your name. You know I hate them. You know how it grieves me to see them rising up against you. I hate them thoroughly. They're my enemies. Search me, God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. Show me whatever's wicked in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. Psalm 140 is next.